Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ask a Pianist. My name is Andrew Aarons, and today we'll be addressing a rather frequent question which comes up in the more advanced stages of piano study. When we perform music on the piano, it is frequently necessary to invent or co-opt hierarchies in our dynamic levels or our choices in sound production. Having an acoustic hierarchy allows us to highlight a particular voice or melody or counterpoint to an audience without actually turning to them and saying out loud, "Listen to this." To do this kind of oral highlighting, we rely on a technique commonly referred to as voicing. Today's question on Ask a Pianist is, what is voicing? To begin, let's look at a passage of music wherein there is no need for deliberate voicing to be done. Chopin's Nocturne Op. 27 No. 2 opens with a singular melody in the right hand with an open arpeggiated accompaniment in the left hand, and for the first 9 bars remains without any chords. In this case, simply due to our perception of sound, we recognize the notes in the higher register as being the melody, and the nearly unchanging left-hand notes as an accompaniment. If I play the right hand and the left hand equal in terms of dynamic and sound production, our ears still recognize the melody as being of superior interest over the accompaniment. For the sake of example, let's exaggerate the issue and try playing the left hand much louder and the right hand much softer. You notice that our ears are still drawn to the melody, and it's almost as if we instinctually try to block out the accompaniment in favor of the melody. What this shows is just how flexible our listening capabilities are in terms of differentiating sound. No matter what kinds of auditory interference we may experience, we can still pinpoint what we want to listen to. I liken this to being in a crowded room with many people talking at once. Even in this case, we can still pinpoint a single conversation from across the room, and with clues like looking at the movements of someone's lips while they speak, or their hands as they gesture, we can piece together what they are saying in spite of all the distractions that can hinder us. With music that is texturally simple, we can do the same without any trouble. In Chopin, there are many examples, in addition to this one, where he specifically isolates the melody during the first statement of it. Naturally, he's not the only one who understands this power of isolation, and many other composers use this compositional technique in their piano music. But what happens when we have 2 melodies that also serve as their own forms of counterpoint and accompaniment? Bach is a great composer to study because his music offers such a wide variety in terms of rigorous counterpoint. If we look at the Prelude of his English Suite No. 2 in A minor, we find a situation where 2 singular voices compete for dominance, and they are so close together and so similar in content that our ears can become confused as to what to listen to. Is there a melody here? Is it contained in one voice or one hand for the whole time, or does the prominence shift from one hand to another? Where do we focus our ears? this with the two voices as equal as I could in terms of dynamic adjustments and sound quality choices. Though it is possible to perform it this way, many pianists, including myself, choose to make an artificial hierarchy in sound so that one voice is played in a more prominent manner than the other. This can be done through dynamic choices, like playing the right hand slightly louder than the left. Another form of hierarchical definition can be accomplished by making changes to the articulation so that one hand sounds lighter or less heavy than the other. I'll play the right hand nearly legato and the left hand nearly staccato. A more subtle change can be made with our sound quality. I'll play the right hand with a fuller tone or a more substantial sound, and the left hand with a more transparent and quickly decaying sound. We can also switch between different voices when certain motives imitate each other. In other words, I can spotlight or highlight different voices in succession. I'll play bars 6 to 8 a little slower so you can see what I mean. The emphasis will start in the right hand, then switch to the left, then back to the right. Here it is in real time. All these choices are reversible in this particular piece. As an example, instead of playing the right hand louder than the left at the very beginning, I can play the left louder than the right. Anything is possible. What we're dealing with here is the conscious decision to elevate one musical element above another, giving the impression to the audience of different levels of communication. This is essentially what voicing is all about. The purpose of voicing is to prevent a complex musical texture from overloading the listener, while simultaneously showing the audience what elements are important to listen to. On the piano, this is of vital importance, because unlike an orchestra which has different instruments and sound qualities to differentiate a complex texture automatically, the piano has essentially one general sound quality, and because of this, we as pianists must work extra hard to differentiate our sounds within this constraint. In piano music, not all melodies are as isolated as the ones I just demonstrated. For example, Rachmaninoff commonly uses melodies comprising single-note chains supported by complex chordal accompaniments, like this section from the Third Piano Concerto. In this example, the tune itself is a single melodic voice. However, this voice would be positively drowned out by the accompaniment if it were not voiced accordingly. Here's how it would sound if all the elements were played equal. Voicing is necessary here in order for the music to function. Another kind of voicing problem occurs when we have melodies that are constructed out of chords. Beethoven does this quite often, and there's no difference in texture between the melody and the accompaniment. The slow movement of the Hammerklavier Sonata exemplifies this problem. In this case, because the melody is not separated from the accompaniment by rhythm or gesture or even register, we are forced to make voicing decisions within the chords themselves in order for the theme to be heard. Here's how it would sound if we didn't differentiate the top voice of these chords. In the Rachmaninoff case, without doing any voicing, the melody becomes drowned out by the accompaniment. But in this Beethoven case, without voicing, there is simply no melody at all. In all the examples I've shown so far, we find melodies which are in the topmost voice, being supported by an accompaniment underneath it. There are cases, however, where the melody appears in a lower voice with an accompaniment above it. I had mentioned before that our ears are naturally drawn to the upper voice for melodic content. So what happens when the melody is not the uppermost voice? How do we overcome this disadvantage? Chopin, once again, gives us a wonderful example. In his Etude Opus 25 No. 7, we find the melody primarily in the left-hand register, with chordal accompaniment in the right hand. Once again, If we played the music with all voices being equal, the left-hand melody would be drowned out by all that is happening above it, and the right-hand top voice would hijack the title of being called the melody. To make the left hand work as a primary melody, not only do we have to play the right hand softer and the left hand louder, like this, but we also have to play the right hand with a sound quality which is as transparent as possible, and the left hand with a sound quality as heavy and as thick as possible. In this way, the left-hand melody can cut through what is happening in the upper accompaniment. In this episode, we have been dealing primarily with voicing from a general perspective, that of bringing out a melody over an accompaniment. But this is not the end of the problem, merely the beginning. Voicing and voicing principles apply not only to the general aspect of melody with accompaniment, but also on the more detailed level of individual chordal effect. Each chord we play consists of many notes which have to form a hierarchy within themselves. How do we determine the hierarchy within a singular chord in an accompaniment? Well, that's a complex subject best left for another episode of Ask a Pianist. Until then, keep practicing and keep experimenting with ways to better delineate and define the voices in your playing. Bye for now.